Hi everyone, Urashi here. In this video, we will talk about crafting in Path of Exile. Crafting is one of the most complex features in this game, but it is tons of fun to hit the craft that you desire. I won't go into a lot of detail on crafting. It will just cover the basics, and we will move on to crafting with the new league mechanic. There are various websites or sources that you can use to make your crafting process easier. One of them, and the one that I really enjoy using, is Craft of Exile. In this website, you can check the modifier weightings on the items. Basically, each item in Path of Exile has different modifiers on them, and these modifiers have different weightings and level requirements. So when you visit Craft of Exile, so this is just really basic, I won't go into much detail. You will choose your item type. In this case, I want to craft a 3 elemental bow, which will have fire, lightning, and cold damage on it. And also the item level that you choose is important because some modifiers cannot roll or let's say cannot appear on your item before a certain item level. In this case, if you want to go for 2 additional arrows on your item, then it can't be lower than level 86. So once you choose that, you choose your crafting method. In this case, it will be essences. And then you can choose if this item is fractured or not. So basically, fractured items in this game makes the crafting process much easier because you fracture one modifier and that modifier cannot be removed from the item no matter what you do. But there's also a downside to this. If you're crafting for the late game, you essentially want synthesized implicits on your items, and fractured items cannot have any form of influence on them, whether it is Shaper or Crusader or Elder or even synthesized modifiers. So keep that in mind, but I'm sure you're not watching this video if you're crafting for the late game anyway. But that is something to keep in mind. So when you choose the fractured, here you can tell Craft of Exile which modifier that you have the fractured for. And in this case, let's go with tier 1 lightning damage. And when you right click on this one, you will be basically telling the website that this is the fractured mode. And then you choose your type of essence. So in this case, we chose lightning as the fractured, and then we could go with either fire damage or added cold damage. And if we go with fire, then we will pick cold damage here. And as you can see, the weightings on these modifiers are actually the same, so it doesn't really matter much which essence that you choose. You can craft with anger, you can craft with hatred, since it has a lightning fractured modifier. You won't be able to use the lightning essence. I don't remember its name now, but let's choose cold here. And if you make your setup like this, the website will tell you your average success chance per essence that you spent. So this is basically how you use it, and obviously you want suffixes as well, but as I said, I won't go into much detail. You can use some meta crafting mods like prefixes cannot be changed, and then try to reforge critical with the harvest. And there are many different crafting methods in this game, so it might take you some time to choose the best one. And you can actually use the emulator option on this website to better visualize your crafts. So let's say that this is the item that I have. As you can see, the lightning damage is fractured, And of course this item needs to be at least rare to be able to roll with essences. And then I choose fire and I choose tier 1 and I start rolling. As you can see, it will show you the modifiers that the items can have. And once you hit cold damage here, you will start working on your suffixes. And as I said, you can do it with meta mods such as prefixes cannot be changed. When you do this, no matter what you do, well, some modifiers or some crafting methods do not respect meta mods, so you should take a look into that if you want to craft like this. But let's say I want to scar the suffixes. I don't want any suffixes on this item, so I use the scar, and then you only have the prefixes left, and so on. But in this video we will craft with the nibbling mechanic, the graveyard that is introduced with the necropolis, and I want to craft a 3 elemental bow like this with attack speed and crit strike chance. So we will get to it, but first I want to show you also this website. This is the PoE database. You can find a lot of information on here, but we will focus on the modifiers. And some people prefer this website because, as you can see, once you choose bows and once you enter your item level here, you can see all the weightings on the items. So this tells you your chances of hitting these modifiers, and as you can see, the additional arrows is actually quite low to hit. So that's why it gets really expensive once you hit this modifier. And also, of course, you can fracture that as well, or you can buy a fracture based if you're playing on softcore trait or hardcore trait, and then it will make it much easier to craft your items if you really want this modifier. So let's get to the graveyard crafting. So they introduced this graveyard mechanic with the new Necropolis League. So basically when you get into the maps, you start killing monsters and then they drop corpses. And when you visit this graveyard, you can use these corpses to craft your items. And there are a few things that you should look out for. It is modifiers like these. They increase the effect of corpses in this row or in this column. So when you optimize your graveyard properly, you can make a lot of uses for these ones. And this graveyard is not really optimized, but you can maybe do a better job. And there are also adjacent increased effect on the corpses. So when you have an expensive craft on your graveyard, such as this one, it gives me an additional chance to craft an additional item, and this is normally 20%, but you can increase its chances with these other adjacency modifiers. And as you can see, this isn't really demon, so this is not really optimized, but as I said, you can do a better job with it. So once you fill out a huge proportion of the graveyard or the whole thing, you say craft, and you can see all the modifiers here. And this has a lot of increased fire, cold and lightning chance, as well as speed and critical, while reducing the modifiers such as physical, chaos, life, mana, resistance, attribute, and gem to appear on the item. And finally, you increase the modifier tier rating so that this increases your mods to tier 1. And in order to show this better, we'll just do this. And craft, as I mentioned, craft of Exile a few minutes back. This has another method that you can use. and they introduced the graveyard mechanic in here. You can choose it as a crafting option, and you can choose all these modifiers and compute. You can get your modifiers here and compute best selection, or you can choose these increased chance or scarcer modifiers and craft an example item. But I prefer using this because you can see all the weightings on here. So if we were to do something similar to what I did in the game, I increased fire, lightning, and cold modifiers by 3000. And when I do this, and yeah, those are scarcer. When I do this, you can see that these particular modifiers have a higher chance to appear on my item. But of course, this isn't guaranteed, as it says it has an increased chance. You can still hit a lower tier modifier. And when you increase the tier rating, you can see all the modifiers go up to tier 1 on your item. And let's say we don't want any life modifiers on this item, so we make them scarcer. And the reason we make elemental a bit scarcer, since we want elemental on here, is not to hit this elemental damage with attack skills. We want to reduce its weighting as much as possible. And as you can see, it went down to 120, so it has only a 1% chance of appearing on the item. And of course, the physical modifiers are also have also quite a lot of weightings, but you can reduce them by making them even more scarcer. As you can see, it drops to only 1 weighting, so it is really highly unlikely that it will appear on your item. And you do the same for chaos, and you increase the speed, and you reduce the modifier, you reduce the attribute and gem as well, and increase the critical. So in the end, you have something like this one. And when you craft the item, hopefully you will hit, hopefully I will hit attack speed with critical chance and critical multiplier, and 3 fire, cold, and lightning added damages. So let's do that now. And I did this entire plot in about a day or so. I farmed almost half of the corpses myself, and I then bought the rest of them. And as I mentioned, this adjacency, you can use it on something like this, or you can use it on some expensive corpses, such as reduced chance, scarcer chances of gem modifiers, because these were about 80c each. And of course, usually the ones like this are the most expensive. To craft an additional item, or to mirror an item, or to split an item, those are usually the most expensive. Maybe split not so much, since it splits your item. It is pretty much only used in having high tier crafts to increase your chances of hitting the modifiers that you want, but it also splits your item. So essentially, for a craft like this, you should either get additional craft chance or mirror chance, so that you can have another copy to sell maybe, or to increase your chances of hitting the modifiers that you want. Since I use this because I might not hit attack speed at all. I might get projectile speed, so that's why I use this. So let's get to crafting this item now. You can also see the effects of these scarcer modifiers. Each time you make something 100% scarcer, it halves the weightings on that particular modifier. And you may not essentially want a 6-link socket because this takes a lot of space on the graveyard, in my opinion, but I want it, so maybe if that's what you want, you can use it as well. As I said, you can make this whole graveyard more optimized by using these corpses better, and also these adjacency corpses, and there are many spreadsheets or Excel sheets on Reddit, or people have made a lot of videos about it by now. You can check them out. So let's craft this and hopefully get all the modifiers that we want. And as you can see, it's level 86 since we increased its item level, and it has 6 modifiers, so let's do it.
May the shine of Solaris burn away your anguish and aid this
He's
soldier,
casting a spell.
so that you may empower a bow the mighty lion-eye
Oh, and we
be
got
proud
2
of.
ones. That is nice. So let's check if we got everything that we wanted. Okay, this has prot speed, but also has crit strike chance and crit strike multiplier. As you can see, we got all the mods that we wanted. 3 tier 1 elemental damage types, and also 2 critical modifiers. But if this was attack speed, it would have been much better. So let's check this one. Oh, and this one does not have the crit strike multiplier but attack speed, so I don't know which one would be better. I guess this one should be better. It lacks a bit of attack speed, but you can get additional damage from this mastery here. The projectile speed gives you extra damage, so it's fine, I guess. It will be a bit slow in terms of DPS, but let's check its EDPS. So this is about 1200 or 1400, but if it had a higher attack speed, it would have been much higher. So this is 1600 because it has attack speed on it. So I'll just have to take a look and see which one does a better job at PoE. But this might be it due to the projectile speed and crit strike multiplier, but we will see. Overall, I like the graveyard process. So it is it might be a bit tedious for some of you, but in the end it is quite worth it, because if I wanted to do this craft with essences, it will take a long time to spam, and also it might be more expensive, because I did this whole craft for about 8 or 10 divines or something like that, and I farmed half the corpses, including the most expensive one, and it might even not be that much, and I got 2 of them, so hopefully I'll sell one of them and use the other one. And if you don't want to use those graves, as I mentioned, if you don't want to use them for 6-linking your items, in this league they introduced a new way that you can 6-link your items. As I said, if you don't want to use the graveyard for that, you can come here, and then here they introduce Black Morrigan. This exists as a Scarab, or I don't know if you can increase its chances of appearing in your maps through the Atlas tree. I'm not spec'd into Einhar, so I don't know that, but you can use this one to have your items maximum links possible, but of course your item needs to have 6 sockets before you do that. So you can use this craft, and I will use it myself as well. So this should be much cheaper, or at least easier than spamming fusings or buying the fusings outright and using the benchcraft. I think it should be cheaper, but I don't know, maybe in the future its price will go up, so you can use this if you want. So thank you for watching the video. It would really help me a lot if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel. I also stream on Twitch. I haven't streamed in the last 2 days or so, but I will, so you can check it out if you want. Thank you, and see you on the next one.